So we brought you this story last week about Zach Scholl, a student and lacrosse player at Palm Beach Atlantic University, whose coach told him that he wasn't allowed to post photos of himself with his legally owned and Second Amendment protected firearms if he intended to stay on the team. And it wasn't as though Scholl was, posting gangbanger type photos, right? It wasn't that he was posting photos of himself and firearms and illicit drug use, or himself and firearms and him out drinking, or videos of like what we saw in my hometown of St. Louis where individuals were carrying rifles, and I'm sure they were prohibited possessors, and they were, St. Louis, which is an anti-gun run city, and firing them into the air, right? He didn't do anything like this, just a law-abiding student. Scholl responded by telling the coach that, well, you know what, you can keep your lacrosse team because he's going to keep his rights. And we've seen this over and over again where you have people in positions of authority, be they teachers, be they school administrators, be they coaches, who want to force their political viewpoints and their perspectives on their students. And we see that over and over again. So what's the status on this situation? Has the school reached out? Has anything changed? Is he going to be allowed to join the lacrosse team? Is he still being punished by that coach? And by the way, what's going on with the coach? Zach Scholl joins us now to talk about all of this. Zach, thank you for being here. Good to see you. And by the way, kudos to you for standing up for yourself and your rights. Tell us the latest. What's going on?
I haven't heard anything from the coach or the school. Seems like they're kind of trying to lay low. The most recent contact that I had with anything regarding the school was a student-run newspaper called The Beacon reached out to me, and they wanted to do an article on me. So they did an article. I was open with them, gave them everything, answered all their questions, tried to give kind of both sides of the story, how I could see, how this could have gone wrong, but at the same time, like I feel like there was a line crossed. And that article, I was actually just contacted about half an hour ago by the young man who wrote the article, and he said, "Hey, I wrote the article. I put it in the school newspaper, and it was up for about an hour before it got taken down."
Wow. So they're not even allowing the school newspaper to write about you in any kind of fair or completely impartial way?
I can't confirm that it was the university that took it down. All he would tell me was that it didn't meet some sort of standard and got taken down within an hour.
Wow, unbelievable. And this all started because you simply posted photos, as people every day do, on social media. You weren't doing anything illegal. You were just stoked about responsible gun ownership. You were showing off some of the firearms that you had, nothing bad. And then your lacrosse coach reaches out and says, no, we can't do that. Did you know that he had, did you think that might be a problem when you, and I'm not, saying that the coach was in any way justified, but did that come out of, left field when he contacted you and said, no, you can't put this up there? Did that take you by surprise?
So the first time it happened was in a meeting with the coaches, talking about what was going on. And the guns weren't mentioned at all until I probably mistakenly brought it up, because I asked if it was a problem that I was on hunting pro staffs, because I know the NCAA is pretty strict on endorsements and sponsorships. And I said, I'm not receiving anything for free. It's not lacrosse related. And they said, regarding the pro staffs, that should not be a problem. They'll look into it, but they don't think it's going to be a problem at all. And then he mentioned a story that I put up on Instagram. I believe everyone's seen it now, of my guns, my two carry pistols getting ready to be cleaned. He mentioned that. He said it looked too militant. He was afraid of some moms seeing it and not liking it. And that was kind of the end of it. I actually stopped posting gun pictures for a while as a result. Any pictures that I wanted to be posted, I sent directly to the pages that I like to repost my stuff. And I sent it directly to them, and they reposted it anonymously, just so I could share it without having to share it on Instagram on my personal page where I knew coach would have a problem with it. And then the conversation where the screenshot that everyone's seeing was sparked by a mistake that I made, having a picture that had, there was some bourbon and some cigars because we were celebrating something. And I understand that was something that the school wouldn't like. In hindsight, that was probably a bad idea. And if he had just said, that's a problem, take it down. That would have been completely different. But following that picture, there were videos of my girlfriend and I at the range shooting together, and he tacked guns onto his ultimatum, and that's when I had a problem with it.
Yeah, so he didn't like that. Did he just think that firearm usage just was not a look that he wanted for the team? It just seems weird that he would just single that particularly out. I mean, I've seen coaches say, I don't want anybody, I don't even want you having a glass of champagne at a wedding. I don't want, I've heard coaches doing things like that. They don't want to see that on their athletes' Instagram accounts. But this is honestly the first time that I've ever heard a coach say no guns.
Yeah, I don't know what his personal reasons are. Like I said, I haven't talked to him.
Right.
It kind of is what it is at this point.
So you are not currently on the lacrosse team right now, correct?
I am not. I had a meeting scheduled after I got the letter from President Fleming, where he told me that the school supports the Second Amendment. That letter that just let everyone see as well. I said, well, if the school supports the Second Amendment, am I welcome back on the team? So what you're implying is that shouldn't have happened. And he said he would investigate that for me. He had me set up a meeting with the vice president of athletics, I think. And I was at work. She was trying to schedule that. And before we could talk about it, the story kind of blew up. And I've been under the assumption that I probably would not be welcome at that meeting anymore.
Wow.
But that's just my assumption because I haven't heard anything from them regarding what's going on.
And your coach hasn't reached out to you at all since?
He has not.
Oh, and I would imagine, I mean, you've played lacrosse for a while. You love the sport.
Yes, ma'am.
That's tough, but it's a tough thing to do. Why did you feel the need to make this stand?
My parents raised me with a very acute sense of what was right and what was wrong. And when to stand for yourself and when to just kind of let it happen. And that was standing up for myself was some advice that my dad gave me. After I got the text, I sent a screenshot to my dad and I said, hey, like, what do I do? And he said, I think you know what you need to do. Just speak from your heart, but be classy, be polite about it, and we'll see where it goes from there.
There you go. And I think that you did just that. I'm sure your parents are probably proud of you doing that. I know it's a tough choice that you had to make as well, but Zach, I'm sure that you realize there are a lot of other students out there who are watching how you handled this situation, and they're going to use that as a pathway, as a guidebook for themselves going forward. Well, kudos to you for what you did. I know it's not easy. Definitely a hard choice, especially when you're looking at giving up something that you love, but you got a lot of people standing with you. Thanks for joining us and telling us your story. Zach Scholl, everybody. Zach, thank you.
Thank you.